Hi Team Value, JJ here, welcome back. Well, let's catch up on some latest Tesla news. I haven't done a Tesla video for a while. Let's see what's going on. Obviously the stock's been plummeting this year and we'll take a look at that. We'll see what's going on with the stock price later on, but let's just see what they're talking about here and I'll react to it.
Stock has taken a hit so far this year, down 27%. There's been a series of issues from stock analysts, stock downgrades, a dip of shipments in China, and the latest, an arson attack on Tesla's plant in Berlin. Joining us now is Tim Higgins, a Wall Street Journal reporter and a CNBC contributor. And Tim, it's good to see you. It's not like we hear great things about the entire EV market every day either, Tim.
It's a tough place to be playing, but for Tesla, it's all they're playing with, right? And the underlying story for Tesla has been about incredible rapid growth over the last few years. And now Elon and team are suggesting that's going to be much slower this year. And all of these signs in the last few weeks and months are really kind of making it even more worrisome just how slow that growth is going to be. One of the remarkable things about...
Yeah, we've had the slowing down of growth. It's been bad news after bad news for Tesla shareholders. The stock price net, it hasn't really gone anywhere from over 3 years. I think August 2020 was about the time that you would have had to bought it to make sort of any money on all for an average price over that time. So it hasn't done well. Margins have come down. Growth has slowed. There was a time when it was 50% growth. We were going to get 50% growth compounding in these all-in Tesla people. And dare I say, the Tesla pumpers on YouTube. We know who they are, who always talk it up all the time. Nothing can go wrong. Elon can do no wrong. I mean, I'm not negative on the company. I did own it and I did sell it after 100%. If it goes low, we'll see what happens if it keeps going low. I just did a video yesterday where the Dean of Valuation, he bought it at 180. He was saying how Nvidia's incredibly overpriced. All of the Mag 7 are overpriced. I'll put a link for that video if you want to go and check that out if you haven't already. But he bought Tesla at 180 and he was saying that the two stocks that he could see that are reasonably okay is Apple and Tesla to buy, but the other ones not so much. But it could go down more than this if the bad news keeps rolling out, and there's no real good news in sight for Tesla at the moment. I mean, there's that fire at their factory. That's kind of icing on the cake in terms of bad news. This spate of bad news. But let's see what else I got to say, and I'll say more in a minute.
Tesla is, if you look over the last 3 years, for example, the first quarter has shown growth that's been better than the fourth quarter, which is really rather remarkable if you think about it, because who wants to go buy a new car in winter and kick the tires, right? But that just kind of underscores how much growth there's been there. And now there's real concern that maybe this quarter won't be as good as last quarter. And that's worrisome to some people.
Yeah, margins have been coming down. It'll be interesting to see, this next quarter when they come out, if it's downbeat again, if the numbers have been going down. One thing about the auto industry is that historically it's had intense competition, and people have said that Tesla's got no competition, but if you look in China, competition's pretty intense for EVs. People just tend to think about the US or the European market, but there is real competition in China and margins are going down. Elon said that they want to increase volumes. So if they're lowering prices, lowering margins, and it doesn't work out that they're selling a lot more, the next catalyst is a new model coming out, cheaper model, and that's quite a long time away. Cybertruck, I mean, they're not having big numbers, and it remains to be seen how successful that really is. So we'll have to see what happens. But at the moment, as I said, that's sort of bad news after bad news. But honestly, I don't mind seeing the share price going down. We'll see how low it goes. Now, if you're getting value out of this Tesla episode so far and you think I'm doing a good job, let me know by hitting that like button to help the almighty algorithm to spread it to more people. Thanks.
Do you think eventually that some of the mandates that we've had from the Biden administration, do they get pushed back? And does that matter to Tesla? Is Tesla dependent on I mean, I know that certainly subsidies help, but on the mandates to get to a certain place by 2030, if that gets pushed back, would that hurt Tesla?
Well, the tax breaks that have been passed certainly help make these cars more affordable for Tesla. Now we've seen them expanded, so Tesla has them again. Without a doubt, that helps as Elon fights to get every penny of cost as he can out of those vehicles. But he has argued in the past that he's not dependent upon.
He has been getting every penny of cost out of them too. He's talked on the earnings call. He mentioned even sticker on the inside. Why is that sticker there? Every penny they can get out of them, and they have been reducing costs. But there's a limit to how much they can do that, how much they can reduce costs over time. There's the efficiencies and the scale. There's a limit to that.
His goal at Tesla is to make a vehicle that is cooler, is better than a gas car, and that will be what appeals to people and drives kind of that EV transition. And in a lot of ways, that has been true for Tesla. It's the other competitors who really seem to be struggling to make an offering that can compete with Tesla. People want a Tesla. Maybe they don't necessarily want an EV.
Does the general malaise in just, it's been pretty staggering to watch how quickly things can change with the whole perception of EVs. But the
general malaise. I mean, partly it's economic conditions, right? There's thinking that there's going to be a recession, which hasn't actually eventuated, but interest rates going up has been a huge factor. Elon said that, where people just can't afford to buy cars, and until Tesla comes out with a cheaper model, perhaps it'll remain. General malaise is a good way of putting it. I like that phrase, general malaise.
The infrastructure build out, that's going to happen no matter what. I mean, if people sour a little bit, the demand is not there for EVs, they're still going to build the charging stations, right?
Right. We've seen kind of huge investments by the automakers other than Tesla, and they're kind of pulling back some of the speed of that. But we're also seeing the investment go into chargers. The charging network, it perhaps is one of the most important thing to kind of pushing forward that adoption. When you talk to consumers like I do, you hear that concern about, hey, where am I going to charge this thing on my road trip to see grandma? Even though for
on my road trip to see grandma. Tesla's charging has been really good. Obviously, the infrastructure that they're building there and have been building for a long time is excellent. Other companies are using it. It's a real strength for Tesla, I think. And another one is the storage, energy storage, which they're not talking about here. Real strength for Tesla in terms of margins. And, Elon's already said that part of the business can be as big as autos. It's something that I've always been kind of excited about it. In terms of, sustainable energy for the world, it's having storage. Energy storage is so important. It's not such a glamorous side of the business, but that is one area where it's ramping up and doing well.
For most people, charging at home is probably the best route. Not everybody, lives at a place where they can charge. So this is kind of one of the big kind of chicken or egg issues that we see out there.
You probably saw Andrew's Deal Book interview, where I don't think Elon really worries about about what people think of him. Certainly doesn't worry about what Bob Iger thinks of him. I remember you probably saw that. So,
well, part of that, Elon's image in social media and public has been kind of detrimental, where he says whatever he wants. I mean, he's one of the wealthiest people in the world, sometimes the wealthiest, depending on what the Tesla stock price and how SpaceX is valued. But he doesn't care about that, and that's a perception that hasn't been so good for the Tesla brand, I think. Especially people like on left-leaning people. He's talking about the woke mind virus and so forth. I don't think that's been so good for the brand from his original people who bought a lot of Teslas to begin with. I don't think that's been so great. But he is who he is, and entrepreneurs are who they are. He's still one of the most extraordinary entrepreneurs in the world. There's no doubting that.
Oh, what can you tell me? It was a New York Times report. What do you know about Elon Musk meeting at Mar-a-Lago with former President Trump?
So it'd be a natural part.
Well, actually, I saw a tweet today, an X post, not a tweet, that Elon said he's not donating to either of the candidates, either of the parties in this election.
Partnership, and we've seen the evolution of Elon Musk since taking over Twitter, since kind of this idea that he's kind of against the idea of the woke mind virus, that idea of being over politically correct, over kind of liberal leaning. And you saw really last May or so kind of his kind of moving more and more into politics, almost trying to be a ringmaster, if you will. And that
he has been moving into politics, but Having said that, as he said, he hasn't donated to either party. I'd be surprised if he gets into the party politics of it. He may do, I don't know. Compared to Peter Thiel in last election, I just talked about Palantir. Last video was about that. I'll put a link in that to the description if you haven't seen that. I'm going to do 2 videos today, one about Palantir and one about Tesla. Peter Thiel actually did speeches for Trump, getting him elected. He was an advisor and all that. So really wading into it there, and with Palantir and associating the brand with a particular person, a politician, a party. Not sure that's such a good idea, and I don't know if Elon will go there, but he's on Twitter all the time, says what he wants. So sometimes you think he should just not do that for the sake of Tesla, but he is what it is.
That kind of road to the White House, whether it was kind of welcoming the DeSantis campaign into the big fight, or posting other candidates on his platform, as we've seen the field narrow to Trump. If you're like Elon Musk, and clearly he's voiced opposition to Biden, Trump would be the pragmatic choice at this point. And the question would be, what can they both get out of it for each other, right? They're both very transactional. Elon has a lot of business with the government, and Trump, could use probably some allies in that fight on the social media world, where Elon can kind of amplify with his echoverse all of these kind of thoughts and political messages.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, having said that Elon said a lot of bad things about the Biden administration. It seems to have been going after him or Tesla in general, not inviting him to the White House when they're talking about EVs and talking up GM, all those things. That it was off to a really bad start right from the beginning. So it wouldn't surprise me if he supported Trump, if Trump was willing to support Tesla and him.
And they both have been known to tweet first and ask questions later, too, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, here are 2 men really mastered the art of the tweet, right? I mean, embracing populism in a way that is remarkable.
Some wacky, both of them, it is weird. There may be more similarities than differences. And that union thing with, not inviting Elon to the idea that you don't invite the biggest EV maker, the transformative EV maker to an EV, it's ridiculous.
Okay, let's just have a look at the Tesla share price and some of the metrics for the company, what's been going on here. We can see here over the past year, it's up only 1.4%. I'm even surprised that it's actually up over the past year. Year to date, it's down, as they said, a whopping 27%, over 27% at this point. If we go back 3 years, it's down over 3 years, 16.1% over 3 years, which is not great, especially not for those all-in Tesla people. They're talking it up, saying, Tesla levels off for a long while. That's been the history of it. If we go back 5 years, 971.6%. So really good performance. Still 62% CAGR over the 5 years. So really, if you had bought it in 2019 was the time to get it, to do well, and some of those people have. If you'd been buying it, continuing to buy it, not so much. So as I said, back in August 2020 was probably the last time to buy it, to actually have made a return on it. So great companies. I do think Tesla is a great company. Can be bad investments if you get them at the wrong time, and it is volatile. I've seen other companies not do well for a very long time, even Amazon, Microsoft not do very well for a long time. Could Tesla be like that? We'll have to see what happens. Now, if you're a regular here and you like the videos I put out, perhaps you'd like to take the extra step by joining Patreon for just $5 a month. Over there, I post content that I don't post here. I don't post anywhere else, exclusive content, all ad-free, and having discussions about things that I wouldn't talk about here necessarily. I'd like to see you over there, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to check that out. Now let me know what you think is going to happen to Tesla over the next year or two. Do you think it's going to languish, the stock price in particular, like it has before 2019? It was kind of like that. Do you think it's going to have this plateau and then take off again? I made a recent episode about humanoid robots that they're working on. I'll put a link in the description, and also up here to that. And here, if you're watching on YouTube, that is, I'll put a link to a video that YouTube thinks that you should watch in particular. So go and see either of those now. And thanks for everyone for watching or listening, and I'll see you in the next one.